Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to RLCS Overtime, your one-stop shop for all things RLCS and Rocket League eSports, and this song never gets old. I love it. I'm your host, Wavepunk. To my right, the lovely Findable Carpet. We got 4 people on the desk today. This is so much fun. To my left, we have James Bott and Shogun. Guys, how you doing?
Fantastic. Excited. How are you doing, bud?
Fantastic. Excited. How you doing, bud?
I'm fantastic and excited. Wavepunk, how are you?
Oh man, I'm doing okay. So, for North America, it was an exciting day of sweeps all the way around. We had 4 sweeps and then 1 reverse sweep, starting off the day with NRG versus Denial.
Yes, that one was a very powerful sweep. Not only the fact that they took it 3-0, but they actually shut them out every single game. Denial failed to even score in 3 games.
Yep, complete shutout. We had not seen that in RLCS. We had seen teams get the sweeps. We had not seen them completely keep you from scoring at all in the whole series.
And this was the only series that NRG played this week. And in week number 1, that was the last time NRG played. Jacob was the scorer. He was the leader week 1 in scoring. And then this week, he had 5 assists. He went back to the old role of setting up his teammates for the shot.
I've been just waiting for Sad Jr., man. I think this is a team that one day, one weekend, they're just going to destroy everyone. We're just waiting for that moment.
Yeah, but they're running out of time for that, though. They've already got a lot of losses. I feel like Denial is certainly a cinch-in for those playoff spots. But top 2, that's pretty much gone. And we'd expect them to get playoff at the very least.
But then SetToDestroy, they got to get their confidence back here. But it was against SetToDestroy. Here's an interesting stat for you. In Europe, they have only had 2 sweeps total. SetToDestroy has been swept 4 out of their 6 series, and they've only won 2 games out of all of the games they've played.
I mean, I still want to stand by the fact of they have the skill. They were able to do it in qualifiers, and there's always the argument of, well, if you can show up for one day, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a great team. And then to me, what that shows is lack of consistency, not particularly lack of just raw skill. They were able to do it. They beat Iris and Atelier in the qualifiers. Even if those teams are both playing terribly, they're still really good teams, but they have yet to be able to show their qualifier skill since that day.
The problem they now have, though, is they are 0-6. They have got that little bit in the back of their head now. They could be the first ever team in NA history to be 0-7. Who have they got to beat to avoid that stat?
Yeah,
G2.
That was savage. But then Atelier, this is where SetToDestroy's playoffs hopes ended. They are now out of it. They cannot make the playoffs. And Atelier, this was a team that, again, SetToDestroy, they beat them in the upper bracket to qualify for league play. So Atelier came back and got their revenge, absolutely destroying SetToDestroy. Lemon Puppy, he wasn't able to score a goal in either series. Coleman, the sub, was the only player for SetToDestroy to even put one in the net in this series.
It's such a rough situation for SetToDestroy. As you guys pointed out, we're only in week 3 of the RLCS League play, and they've already been eliminated from the playoffs. There's no way for them to make it into that top 6. And I felt like watching SetToDestroy so many times, like, yes, they got swept many times, but they kept games close in many situations. They weren't, I felt like they weren't as bad as they looked in these games because we saw it in the qualifiers. They were able to beat these teams that we expected to qualify. Iris didn't even make it in because of SetToDestroy.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just the way that SetToDestroy plays. They did not really change up their play from how they played in the qualifiers. All their offense comes from the counterattack. So they have to rely on the other teams making mistakes on defense and just not capitalizing on their opportunities. And once teams get to league play, they start feeling a lot more confident. And Atelier, the most high-powered offense statistically coming into this week, they just blew SetToDestroy up.
Yeah, in that series, they really needed Lemon Puppy to come up big. Yes, you mentioned that Coleman is actually the one that did it all really well. By the way, thankfully, I've finally got to say Cole on a cast. Never doing that again in my entire life. However, Lemon Puppy didn't come up big. He was almost their best scorer throughout the entirety of this season. He was 9th coming into this week, and when he goes quiet, SetToDestroy goes quiet.
He did have 1 own goal, though.
I do have to say, if I could be in any team spot, personally, because I don't deal with stress well, I'd want to be in SetToDestroy spot right now.
Why?
Because they have nothing to lose literally anymore.
That is such a loser mentality.
And all they're doing now is playing, they're just playing spoilers. So like, whose chance can we ruin?
I don't know. I mean, they had nothing to lose when they came into the league as well.
True.
Nobody expected anything there. They're either Now they're 0-6, so I don't know what's going to happen
Carp
with
is the
them.
type of person that will give you an apple if you're trick-or-treating. He just wants to. He wants to be mean to people.
Hey, apples are good for you, and it'll make you more prepared to eat more
yeah,
candy.
but you don't go trick-or-treating to get apples.
See, what you're saying right there, Wave, is that you play with carpet to get you prepared to play with other people.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to train you to be a better person when you play against really good teams. Right now, Set to Destroy, they can just be really good. You like practice for people. They can really bring it out. I think they're going to catch people off guard, especially now. I mean, like you mentioned, they didn't really have much to lose coming in. They were already the underdog of the entire league.
The only team they have left to play is G2.
Yes.
And I mean, they could
Go
win
all
that,
out.
right?
They could.
mean,
Hey,
did you see G2 this week?
We've seen other things happen. We'll get to G2 later, but right now I want to keep talking about Atelier. Their first series, they got the sweep over Set to Destroy, and then they moved on to Selfless, the undefeated top team of North America. And here's where we got our reverse sweep of the day.
Yeah, it really started out with Selfless coming out on fire. It looked like it was going to be a quick sweep, but then Game 3, that's when it turned around for Atelier.
I mean, these are like my two personal favorite teams, the people that I've watched grow throughout these past few seasons. Selfless, a team that I've mentioned so many times, has yet to, or did not qualify in Season 2, and I was pretty disappointed just because I wanted to watch them excel, and now here they are in Season 3 doing so well. But to go 2-0, especially as a team, we called them the reverse sweep team. Selfless were the guys that were doing it. And now to get reverse sweep by Atelier, which I'm actually really happy to hear about, because from my experience, I thought Atelier, they get really down on themselves. Those are three players they always look inward for their own mistakes. They don't really like to blame. They don't flame at each other, but I think that can be a huge flaw. And it can really, if you know you make a big mistake in game 1 and you're down on yourself, you're not going to be performing. So to see them go down 2-0 and still be able to get a reverse sweep, I've actually got more promise now for Atelier.
Now here's my question. With Selfless, NRG, and G2, we have two undefeated teams still, and now Selfless is still definitely in the running for the top two. Who is the fourth team? To me, it looks like Atelier. Is Atelier the best option right now for our 4 teams that are going to land?
In my opinion, yeah. In my opinion, yes. They had a rough start. They went 1-2 because they had to play NRG and G2 in the first week. And if you remember, that game or that series versus NRG, they brought it all the way to that game 5 when they got reverse sweeped. Offensively, they're playing amazingly.
Yes.
Matt, he scored a ton this time. Usually he was setting up the assist, but Turtle, you can never count that guy out. He is a leader, and he is just a good Rocket League player. His game sense is better than most. He knows when to just slow a play down, slow dribble a clear, or just fake out and mind game the defense.
For me right now, we came into the season, we thought, all right, Denial. That's the ones that we pretty much all had put down as our 4th team for NA. Atelier has taken up where Denial has been slacking, because Denial has not had a good season at all so far. But Atelier has come out. They've got the best offense in the league, bar none, and they are coming up huge. These players are making huge names for themselves. And honestly, even if the rest of the season doesn't go quite so well for them, I want them to stay together, no matter what.
Man, best offense in the league. You heard it from Shogun here. That's a bold statement, given that the next game we saw, Selfless versus G2, was some of the best Rocket League I feel like I've ever seen from a team. G2 was on fire in a way I'm unparalleled.
Second best offense in the league.
You stopped me from
The back down is coming out.
This game from G2. This was a reality check for Selfless and the rest of NA. G2 looked like they were playing on another level. Look at that, no hesitation from Rizzo. But the G2 offense as a whole, as a team, they averaged 4 goals a game in this series versus Selfless. They absolutely demolished that.
G2 is one of the few teams that if you're a fan of them, I would never call you a bandwagoner, because not only are they so good, and you can just be like, oh, you just always want to root for the best teams, they're so much fun to watch. I've casted these guys time and time again, and I still get excited. It's not one of those situations where I'm like, let's watch another 3-0. Even when they just completely dominate a team, it's so much fun to watch these guys play. And I think ever since they took on JNaps and Rizzo, ever since Crow was paired up with those guys, there's something that's clicked, something that's really made them work together as opposed to worrying too much about their individual play. But the way they're playing allows their individual plays to come out, and they're all showcasing. It's nuts.
Yeah, they're so thoughtful. Like, their touches are not just ball chasing, I want to hit this ball first. They really have a lot of intentionality with every single hit and setting each other up. And that showed in the Selfless game, because Selfless is the opposite, where they are just all about speed and mechanics and just making it to the ball first, whereas G2, they take their time.
It was definitely a reality check, that match was, for Selfless, because they came into it. We were hyping them up. Everyone was hyping them up. They were 4-0 coming into this, and then they took on G2. And unfortunately, they kind of got smacked down in that one. But for Selfless, that's a good spot to be in. They know for a fact, right, we are sitting below G2 right now, but we are above everyone else. That is a nice position to be in, where you try and work forward.
I felt like I was worried about G2 coming into this, because I was like, they had the bye week and then they only have one game this week. If they don't show up here, this makes me worried, but they did exactly the opposite of that and just looked so good in this series. We can take a look at the standings for North America, and as they stand after 3 weeks of league play, holy cow. So we still have 2 teams undefeated. My question for you guys is, we know SetToDestroy is out. Who is the other team that doesn't make it into our top 6?
I think it's probably going to be between Take-3 and Genesis. If I had to pick one between the two, sadly, it would be Take-3. Their offense has struggled quite a bit, and I think compared to Genesis, they're just under them.
And I've spoken a lot on teams that kind of ramp up through league play, but if you take too long, you end up in this bottom spot. And both Take-3 and Genesis, I really can't fully decide, because I think it's really going to depend on who really feels the pressure more and really decides to put in that grind for those last few weeks. But I mean, it's really just, I really want to see them excel, but they just haven't been clicking much. Maybe it's because of their play styles, they're not working well together. Because again, these are people we've seen here at the RLCS. We've seen them be able to perform really well, but they're just not doing it together very fluidly.
And they still have to play each other in league play.
Yes.
Take-3 and Genesis, that game, just by the way last season shaped up, there's a good chance they might be tied with their record, so whoever has that head-to-head tiebreaker, that's going to be key for trying to finish in that top 6 to move into the regional championship.
Yeah, Take-3 as well. When we look at this, both teams have still got to play NRG, so we can, if the way of NRG is playing at the moment, we can put this down as a predicted loss for both of them. That leaves very few games remaining. So yeah, that head-to-head, as you mentioned, still yet to come. That will pretty much confirm who is going to get that 6th spot.
Man, James Bot picking against Espion for the first time.
I'm trying to be unbiased a little bit.
He's a professional first and a dad second.
I mean, it sounds like I'm throwing shade, but I kind of like, I know that you genuinely mean that, because everything in you wants to pick Take-3 in that situation.
If I could award a winner, Take-3 is the world champions, baby. That's it. But that's not the way it works.
Spoken like a true soccer mom. Let's take a look at the top 5 plays from North America. It was a high-flying game, all Selfless, all G2 up here in this top 5. Plenty of double taps all the way around.
Yeah, that's the way it seemed to be. Double taps from the very beginning, but starting it out was from this G2 series, JNaps just dunking it in. It was such a surprise that our spectator even had a tough time getting it, but JNaps, you can't see it. He just never stopped boosting, did a backflip, and dunked it in on Selfless.
I mean, Wade mentioned it, it's the confidence that these guys have. And number 4, G2 eSports again with Rizzo, a player that we usually, from last season, we talked about being a defensive player, but it doesn't even matter this season.
Yeah, again, Rizzo, he had another shot that didn't make top 5 that was very similar. It's just no hesitation, so comfortable playing together, and that one just solidified G2's victory.
Absolutely. Number 3 here, Rizzo again. I felt like it was all about the backboard and the ceiling here in the top 5. He does this, we just saw him do it off the ceiling, now he does it again off the backboard.
Yeah, it really is one of those things of G2. They are so good, and we've seen it throughout these top 3 plays that we've just seen right now. The fact that they are so good at just using a lofting ball and then following it up. All 3 plays we just saw were almost the exact same in that style. They have mastered that part of mechanics.
And Timmy here will be our number 2 and our number 1 play. Spoiler alert. We kept on talking about these double taps. Here's 2 more for you.
Yeah, this one, again, just massive control. He arrows right back down, beating out the defense. And Timmy, this one, that one just had him fall a little bit short versus Atelier, but this last one was so impactful because of the situation he was in. There was 16 seconds left on the clock. This was the game winner for Selfless.
Timmy so eloquently dubbed the Weekend Warrior, a player who we've gotten information can only play on the weekends, and to be able to showcase this kind of skill time and time again, and to show up as number 2 and number 1 on our top 5 plays, phenomenal from Timmy.
To show up as number 2 and number 1 when your team went 0-2. Like, your team didn't win a series, and you still were the 2 best plays in North America.
It's all about the play. It was the play, and that one was a big play for them because that put them up 2-0 in the series. So, you know, even though they fell short and got reverse swept, the play was pretty sweet.
It set them up for their trademark reverse sweep for sure. Good situation there. Oh man, it's been fun to talk here about North America. That does wrap it up. When we come back, we got an interview with Jacob, the team captain of NRG. It's gonna be a lot of fun. He's got a lot of great things to say, I'm sure. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.